When it rains in this part of the city, water pours through the gaps in rusted tin roofs and pools on cracked dirt floors. Vikram's parents spend their days in manual labor, often returning home to find that even a full day of work hasn't secured enough for a simple meal. At 17, Vikram lives in a state of constant resentment. He sees other teenagers with clean clothes and money in their pockets, and the contrast creates a paralyzing weight. To him, poverty feels like a prison sentence handed out at birth. This environment creates a specific psychological trap. When you believe your circumstances are entirely dictated by luck, there is no logical reason to exert effort. If the game is rigged, why bother playing? The most persistent damage of extreme poverty isn't the physical hunger. It's the internal conviction that you are a victim of your own life, with no power to change the outcome. Everything changes during a midnight walk when Vikram meets an elderly man named Baba. While Vikram vents his anger at the world, Baba offers a different perspective. If he waits for the world to be fair, he'll be waiting forever. He suggests that since the system won't help him, he must take total responsibility for his family's survival. Baba explains that while being born poor is an immense hardship, it also provides a clear mission. Vikram has the chance to be the person who changes the trajectory of his family's history, moving them from the desperation he sees now toward actual security. The shift begins when Vikram stops looking at his poverty as a reason to quit and starts looking at it as a problem to be solved. This internal change has to happen before any real-world progress is possible. This diagram illustrates the economic hurdle Vikram faces. Most people in his position trade their time for a daily wage, represented by this flat line. A street vendor explains to Vikram that if he only trades his hours for cash, his income will never rise above his physical ability to work. To move toward the ownership curve, he needs to build something he controls. He takes a job cleaning tables at a local sweet shop. On the surface, it's just more manual labor, but he's actually building human capital. He is intentionally trading his time for the specific skills and technical knowledge required to run a food business. He spends his days scrubbing floors and serving water, but his eyes are on the kitchen. He is there to learn the exact science of making the perfect samosa, a product with high demand and low entry costs. He masters the technical nuances that separate a mediocre product from a great one, the precise balance of spices, the exact oil temperature for a crisp shell, and the speed required to handle a rush of customers. When you have zero money, your only currency is your own effort. Vikram uses his sweat equity to buy the knowledge he needs to become more than just a laborer. Instead of waiting until he can afford a shop, Vikram uses a zero-overhead strategy. He spends his small savings on a simple basket, a portable stove, and basic ingredients. He chooses a mobile setup because it eliminates the risk of high rent. On his first day at the bus stand, the pressure is immense. Standing in public and asking strangers for money is a direct confrontation with his own fear of failure. Every person who walks by without looking is a reminder of how much he has risked. Finally, an older traveler stops. He takes a bite, pauses, and smiles. He tells Vikram the food is excellent. This is the moment of validation. Someone is willing to pay for what he has created. This proves that a business doesn't need a building or a brand to start. It only needs a functional product and a market of people who are hungry for it. Vikram sells every samosa he made. But instead of using that first wave of profit to buy better clothes or food for himself, he puts every cent back into the business. He buys more flour, more potatoes, and better spices for the next morning. This is how scaling works in practice. As shown in the diagram, the revenue isn't taken out, it's looped back into infrastructure and labor. Vikram replaces his hand-carried basket with a sturdy wooden cart, and he brings his father into the business to double their reach. Next, they diversify. By adding full meals and drinks to the cart, they increase the amount each customer spends. The same spot at the bus stand now generates 3 times the revenue it did when they only sold snacks. Eventually, the volume becomes more than the two of them can handle. They hire a local worker to manage the daily operations, allowing Vikram to focus on managing the growth of the business rather than just the cooking. Scaling isn't about luck. It's a series of logical steps. You take your profit and use it to buy better tools, offer more products, and hire more hands. Years later, the cart has evolved into Vikram Food Corner, a permanent restaurant. It is a stable, brick-and-mortar business with a loyal customer base and a team of employees. The contrast between the two halves of this image represents the change in his family's life. The rusted, leaking roof of Vikram's youth has been replaced by a solid concrete ceiling. The fear of the next rainstorm has been replaced by the security of a roof he owns. For the first time in generations, the family's survival isn't dependent on a landlord or a temporary employer. They own the means of their own support. By taking that first step at the sweet shop, Vikram became the person who changed the financial story of his family. He proved that where you start is a fact, but where you end is a choice. Your circumstances may be inherited, but your future is not. Are you willing to put in the work required to change your own trajectory?